Cool. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much, Aaron, because at the point at which I submitted my manuscript for my Tricolor textbook in March 2021, I hadn't been published anywhere. I'd only started writing in lockdown. And to be given that opportunity at that stage of my writing has meant everything to me. I think it's really easy to forget when you have nothing on your bio, not that it mattered for this because the bio wasn't required, but when you have nothing on your bio, it's really difficult. And so I will always be so grateful to Aaron for taking on my work and also taking on my plastic tube little bird. I have to say, though, I'm not endorsed by Luke Kennard tonight, like so many other people. I hope that doesn't put anybody off. So I'm going to start reading there's 3 sort of vaguely Hepworth type poems in this book. And I'm going to start off with the first poem in the book, Pelagos. Pelagos, after Barbara Hepworth. What happens when I look from the side, when I can't see the strings completely? Does that mean the sea disappears? It is Pelagos I always go to first at the Hepworth. From the front, the repeat, the shadows, the stitches, transform my vulva into a perfect circle as you reach around my waist. From the side, repeat, trace finger on back. I hear a moan from the center, my voice. Your cock is between my lips. I am the opposite to hollow now. The stitches are laced with immediacy. They mimic breathing. They rise, pause, fall. I move to the side, hold my breath. The sea stops moving. Landlocked, absent body. In the gallery, we meet at Cat's Cradle. We begin on an elm flat base, lick salt off plate, off body, into the space. Fold shouldered waves into me. Sea wall curves over arms, wrap around, repeat. I look at Pelagos from the side. I think of myself open-mouthed, an empty estuary the size of an unspecified sea. Downy breathing. I'm almost complete in this part. I am Pelagos. From the side, make my strings dissipate. I think what's really nice looking back at this book, which I wrote in that first 18 months of writing, is that it shows my progression of like how I fell in love with writing about Barbara Hepworth. And since doing this, I'm writing an arts council, developing your creative practice work on Hepworth. And then I start my PhD on Hepworth in October at Manchester Met. And I think like I look back and I can see like those sort of first signs, especially apparent in Barbara. The curve of the sculpture I look at in your garden makes the plate I eat off later appear square. I compare it to how you would have made it. Your curves are laced intricately, woven with the sides of being a woman, desire tied into the hard steel fixings, the smooth part of hip liquid yet solid under each gaze. You would have made this great plate search for the intimate. Holding a baby, the plate would still be tender even when empty. You would have made the plate, smoked a cigarette, your fingers tracing spaces in the air as you observe your circle turning square. And then my final little Hepworth poem, which I've got a group of friends that I write with that we met on an Arbonne course online in lockdown. And the last line of this is a particular one we giggle about. The night after the visit to the sculpture garden, July 1996. The smooth arch of arse cupped as he licks your clit. Through Cat's Cradle, I kiss him goodnight. His tongue on rung rubs me, loves me. Dark iris drown in blue-grey. Through net of nerves insert, crisscrossed, barbed wire demarcation. I'm safe in the curve of his arm, crawl out of messy. So they were my little Barbara section. I think I put on Twitter before, it's like a mega mix. I really am the saddest person in the world, and I really love Gary Davis on Radio 2, and he does mega mixes. So I thought I'd like, that's probably going to be like, Aaron's probably going to eject me from this now because of saying that. But so that's my Barbara part of the mega mix. The next part is sort of like, I think really important. Like I write a lot about sex, and I find it really unusual that you know, I don't feel like there obviously there is writing about sex, but I met with quite a lot of opposition at the beginning of my writing, and it made me so much more determined to write about it because it is beautiful. And I think the next few poems are my favorites. This one that I'm going to read next is the poem that I wrote and submitted to Charlie's journal, Dear Reader, because I was trying to impress her. I was trying to woo her with this poem. The Pink Roll Top Bath. I grasp a piece of invisible text from Delta of Venus and bite so hard juice runs down to where I'm smooth inside. I am falling over the edge in anticipation of your mouth. My lips curve like the rim of the roll top bath. They smile, then say, fuck me over the side. Open mouth, soft inside, I swell. Clitoral bulbs freeze framed in slow. They grow lento. I'm an Attenborough nature program. My clitoris evolves from want. I have to say, Erin, as well, the cover, which I love, but also the colour of it, because there's a poem in here, day 3, and there's a line in it, where is it? Milk blush memory on the sheet underneath. It's really like a lovely kind of pale pink milk blush stain. So I really love that as well. My next poem. This poem was published in Poetry Wales quite early on in my writing, and it gave me such a massive boost. It really, like, I think when you're new to writing, you just doubt. I know all my friends that are watching as well, like I've got terrible imposter syndrome. I know that doesn't go away, but like being in Poetry Wales with this poem was like one of my highlights. Vader Meckham, you post the Doris Lessing book to me. I love you when you reply to my email with urgency. You write in the exact way I remembered you speak. I picture your fingers moving quickly over the keyboard. Wish they were finding my clitoris instead. That time your hand was under my skirt at the end of term in 96. You left too quickly. I used to watch you dance to Cerys Matthews, planning what I would say, each time rehearsing my soliloquy, each time spoken in silence, each time hot-faced with concentration, just saying goodbye in my head. Afterwards, I read the book you sent to me. In a film, we'd know it wasn't the Doris Lessing with your writing inside that made the scene. It is the unwritten stage directions, the unseen asides, the way you say oral, me fantasizing, you licking me out in the middle of the day, the way you look at me intensely, wishing you were fucking me tenderly. You are the urgency I masturbate with over the bath. Always when the sun is high, I think of the perfect shadow we would make. And I think I'm going to read 2 more. The last in my sex sequence is going to be, why do people take photographs of men surfing and not my orgasm as it peaks? We are speechless, floating on our mattress of foam off the shore. My nipples are blush boys as they bob on the slowing wave of you. My hair advert pretty as it moves over your cock like the tide. I like the off-white of afterwards, dirty bridal stains traced on our lips. I want to stay open-mouthed, remain on this high, photographed on this invisible wave. I want to have it framed, Do I smile as your tongue turns circles into crests as I surface? And for my final poem, I would not be able to do this section without reading something about menstruation. I have this awful guilt for all those years. I used tampons and not a menstrual cup. I am totally in love with the menstrual cup. Most of my poems are a love letter to menstrual cup. So this sort of wrestles with my sort of guilt at the awful plastic use and kind of debris on beaches that I've caused in my years of using tampons. Plastic tubed little bird. I hide the tampon within my fingers like I'm holding a tiny fragile bird. Someone once told me this is how my hands should be when I run. On the side of an unstained trainer's edge is a star in red on the edge. I think of the tiny celestial mark I draw in ink on my calendar, always inconspicuous. I pretend to look for my phone, pen, a date 2 weeks later. Inside my bag, a yellow wrapper, the colour of cruel, a creased spring dress worn only to celebrate bloodshed. I whisper period to you in the hope you will turn around. You don't. I shout it out 28 times aloud in my head. When I empty my moon cup, the blood remains crescent lonely in the daytime bowl. I like the absolute discomfort this causes you. I envy the plastic-backed sanitary sleeping bodies on their unfamiliar coastal beds, their one-night stands leaving them free for me to feel their single-use guilt. A naked tampon in the cervix of my bag is exposed only by a useless string lifeline. The wrapper from the orange tampon flatlines at the bottom of my bag. Thank you very much.